CC supports banned out by Schalke in the form of the Morgana and the Nautilus, but there's the Alistar. Great prediction on that one, and harking back all the way to Vander's days on Schalke when he used to play with Upset.
And one of the hard things now for Upset is with the Ezreal band, the Kaisa taken away, Lucian band as well, a lot of these mobile supports aren't going to be an option. The Xayah was banned earlier as well, so you think about Sivir being a good option. That's not a fun champion to play against the Alistar, who can very easily 2CC you and make sure that your spell shield doesn't really mean anything. So it puts Upset in a very difficult position now.
We'll see where he decides to go. Of course, Karma could be flexed. We've seen Fnatic using that Karma as a bot laner for a long time, usually teamed up with a more aggressive support who can do a little bit more like the Pyke. Don't expect to see Karma Braum in the bottom lane, but if Schalke decide they just don't want to have any fun at all, maybe they will pick that. Instead, they will go towards the Tristana, locked in for Upset here. An explosive Buccaneer down towards that bottom lane. We'll see how effective Upset can be with his first game of the split of the champion.
I'm pretty sure that's like the only AD carry left with any sort of dash on the kit there, with the W there to try and get away from the Alistar. Also, the ultimate going to be very effective at self-peel against double assassins on the side of Rogue here. Now, looking at this composition, we have 3 very flexible champions on the top side of the map here for Rogue. Now, Inspired, I believe, has gone for the Sylas one time in the past, so if you wanted to pick up the Qiyana, this would be his first time, but we've sort of seen this trend recently where we've gotten a lot more Qiyana picks in the jungle for that very strong early game burst damage on ganks.
Yeah, she can do so much, and the fact that you can buffer your E inside your Q, or your Q inside your E, makes it very easy to connect with some of that CC. But my expectation is that Finn takes the Qiyana up towards the top side, Akali in the mid lane for Larssen. He's the only one that's played it on this team, and then you take that Sylas into the jungle and try and steal away some of these ults.
Yeah, the obvious option here is putting the Akali up against the Aatrox. We talked about it. That's a pretty strong matchup for Akali, who can sort of poke at range and doesn't have the same constrictions in terms of Q spam as Aatrox, who just gets a 3 and then has to wait around. Akali can dish out a whole lot more and get in and out of those damage spells, but we're in for a little treat here. I think we have very explosive top side of the map, especially on the side of Rogue.
Incredibly explosive. 2 assassins and a Sylas. That's the sort of thing I want to see when you're fighting for your playoff dreams. Schalke, a little bit more defensive. You have the Elise there, though, who can do a lot in the early game. We'll see if they can hamper Rogue enough to scale up, get that Tristana towards her power points as the game does progress. Schalke, of course, already have their spot in playoffs. They could deny Rogue a spot, or at least make it very difficult for Rogue to find a spot today. On Summoner's Rift, apologies for the delays, but I can promise you kills, I can promise you action. Not going to promise you how much, though, because you never know. The names at the top, of course, are incorrect, and we will get those corrected for you. People there.
There they are.
Even quicker than I could say it. Our production team is on the trigger today. Rogue sitting at 5 and 10. We'll get this control ward in, just normal ward, sorry, and then we'll know the path of Trick early on. That's always a good thing against Schalke, because Trick has been so influential since he joined this team.
Yeah, he's been a real driving force in terms of their early game pressure, especially finding a lot of these moves. The team is also very vocal about how he brings expert shot calling in the mid to late game as well, which is very evident, I think, especially in the way that Schalke set up team fights. Both him and IgNar seem very intelligent in the ways they do approach their games. Now, in terms of this early level 1 vision, we saw the wards placed down by Rogue, but also Schalke put some in the blue side jungle, which I think is a little bit odd, because honestly the first clear from Sylas is always pretty predictable. He almost always starts without a leash on his Raptor camp. He can go ahead and take his Q at level 1 for the AoE, get his passive off as well, and knock out those multi-target camps, go all the way up towards his Krugs, hit level 3, get a reset going, and then Trick will have the opportunity to find a gank while he's not going to be on the map.
The only thing I can think of that Trick might want to do here is actually invade that blue. If you can predict exactly where Sylas is going to be, maybe you could look for an early invade. And we actually see the ping coming out here from Schalke. They're going to try and take away one of those camps.
I really like this move. Now, the real question is, how long is Trick going to stay in? Because there was a red ward placed on top of the blue buff. So now Inspired has the option. Does he want to make him move himself on the opposite side of the map? My gut tells me no at the moment, because on Sylas, you run really low in the jungle. That's why almost always you see him go for an early reset. And if we pan over to this blue vision from Schalke in the top side river, it would spot almost any entrance for Inspired over towards their own blue buff side of the map.
Odoamne pushing in top as well means that he would be able to react if they saw Inspired going in towards that blue buff. Larssen trying to get the push in mid, and now just a little bit of vision, but as you say, look at how low Inspired is, sitting at about 100 HP or so. That magic shield doesn't help you too much against the physical damage of the Krugs. He clears it out and goes back. So Ender, unsurprisingly, your predictions on the jungle pathings were spot on once again.
You're welcome, Medic. Now, importantly,
you didn't predict the invade, and I
okay, hush. Not important. Now, Trick did leave one wolf inside of that camp to make sure the reset does not come through too early from Inspired. You see, Inspired called that the invade happened. Of course, he had the vision, so he does know that happened. So he's pathing back towards the top side of the map. Now, invading probably not going to work for him. There's a Ghost Portal on top of the Schalke blue buff at the moment, so he knows that has not been started up. But I think Trick's best pathing now is to ignore the Krug camp, go immediately in towards that top side jungle, and pick up those camps.
That's what he's going to do.
After Scuttlecrab.
After Scuttlecrab. Well, you could do it before Scuttlecrab.
But see, the thing with going to Scuttlecrab is it does potentially give a window to Inspired. Now, Inspired has no more vision because they spent it all around that level 1 point. So Trick is sort of going for this play here, so he doesn't give over the double Scuttle to Inspired, but potentially leaves himself vulnerable to an invade. Now, he pops that vision plant to make sure he's like, okay, Inspired, he didn't clear that wolf. That means Inspired definitely on the top side of the map. So me seeing him going towards his Krugs is actually very peculiar to me. I think he could have really tried to get in the face of Inspired here and try to get far ahead, especially with priority in mid and top, and he's just not pulling the trigger on it.
Yeah, I think the thing you always have to look at is how are the lanes pushed in mid and top? How much can you take that 3v3 skirmish if it arrives? You see you holding your head in your hands. I wonder perhaps if there was a call from Schalke that said, no, we don't want to fight this. We don't want Odo to come down. We don't want Abbedagge to come across, because you have to remember the burst damage that comes out from 2 assassins and a Sylas early on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that play makes any sense or that call makes any sense, because we look at top lane, Finn was building up a big wave to push in towards that tower, so Odo doesn't actually have to step up to the wave right now. That's going to be coming in towards him, so he could have very easily made this rotation down. Instead, Inspired gets the blue, gets the Gromp, and only ends up losing 2 wolves for this whole level 1.
Not the end of the world at all for Inspired. Keeps himself pretty on track with Trick, who's gone back, hasn't picked up the Skirmisher Saber. Instead, he says, finish Codex for me first on the Elise. Wants that extra burst damage in case that mid 2v2 we talked about starts to become a factor in this game. Trick will now realize his blue's not there and goes around to his wolves, which are thankfully waiting for his arrival.
Yep, and he, if he was going to be looking for a gank in the top lane, he would have pathed all the way through his lane, because once you know Inspired was very likely inside of your own jungle, there's also probably vision there too. He hasn't been seen on it just yet, but he wouldn't have been willing to make that risk and run up for a top lane gank when Inspired could have found that counter. Now he will find out those wards that have been seen, as he was looking like maybe setting up towards a mid lane play that we see him go for all too often.
Let's have a quick look across the rest of the lanes just in terms of CS, as that mid lane fight doesn't actually come out too much because Larssen uses his Twilight Shroud. There's an 11 CS lead for Finn in the top lane. He has burnt his teleport after backing, picked himself up double longsword, but he's pushing Odo back just a little bit in this lane. Mid lane pretty even, as to be expected. Bot lane a little lead for Woolite as well on this Kaisa. 47 CS to 39. He's taking just a small advantage for this rogue squad.
Yeah, starting off good here for them. Of course, strong laning pair, I think, with the Kaisa and Alistar, especially once you hit level 6. You can force those all-ins, and especially look for plays around the Alistar, who's so adept at tanking towers. Maybe not the most feasible thing against a Tristana, but now Trick makes his way top.
Supreme Display of Talent was used there by Finn, but didn't manage to lock up Odo. Trick, Cocoon, dodged out by Finn, and Finn still has the flash. Trick locked up for the second. Finn, he will use the stealth in the bush. Wait, Odo can't step too close here. Trick trying to trade in. Remember, has the damage from the Fiendish Codex. Jumps forward, Finn still dodging around, almost takes him out. Trick has to flash away, Cocoon doesn't hit. That was an awful gank from Trick.
I just don't know why he leads with the Cocoon right there. You wait till you get basically melee range on the Qiyana, and then you can definitely make something happen. Finn, jump forward on Odo. Not gonna quite connect the second blade there. Sort of a disaster for Schalke in the top side. Yes, Trick goes ahead and picks himself up the Scuttlecrab, but he loses his flash for the play. Now, Finn doesn't have a teleport, so ultimately no kill goes down, but that CS lead that we had seen in the top lane is now going to be neutralized. No TP on Finn. There is TP still on Odo, so this lane can be in a nice position for him to return to. This gank one more time. It's been starting off. Again, he has no mana at the start of this play. Gets a little bit back there, chugging the Corrupting Potions. I believe he also has the Time Warp Tonic to immediately get that return on the pots from the Biscuit. Now Trick, he lost the first cocoon, he's like, okay, I can make this trade, but he gives Finn the dash through him by giving vision, then realizes, wait a second, I might just get one shot, flashes away before throwing the cocoon, so he's not even able to land that. Would have been doubtful if that would have even secured the kill, because Finn still had flash the entire time.
Finn did a very good job of playing around the stealth mechanic there, stealing away with the terror shape from the bush and managing to take just so much time out of the Schalke top laner and jungler's day. Inspired clearing out his blue here. Looks like that's going to be gifted across towards Larssen, and there's still only one wolf remaining in the camp just around the bend. Lonely Doggo. Inspired gets it though, 16 gold.
That's the worst.
Take that.
It's like you realize you could have come here a long time ago and made something happen or cleared that out to get that respawn. Doesn't end up happening. Still though, we switch over to the gold. Inspired still going to be very happy. Even after that level 1 that could have been so disastrous for him, he is still in the gold lead. Has a CS lead as well. Is the first one to tick over to level 6. But Trick will be trying to take some plays into his own hands here, starting up the Ocean Drake with both priority in mid and bottom.
So many wards around this area for Schalke as well. They've got control ward just near that blue buff, control ward down here in the bottom side of the river, and one up in that top bush. It makes it very difficult, as you say, for Rogue to step forward. They've been pushed back in their lanes, which allowed Schalke to get that vision control. And now the game pretty even early on, 8.5 minutes in, but we'll start to see perhaps that mid-jungle 2v2 having a little bit of an effect, as Akali has hit 6, Inspired building up towards it as well. IgNar here will be stunned up for a second, but the Unbreakable actually mitigates a lot of the damage that would come out from Woolite.
So I was thinking maybe this engage here from Vander is a multi-step plan from Rogue. Now hear me out. He goes to this trade here to try and chunk out IgNar a little bit, because Inspired has just reset, picks up the Runic Echoes. He's going to be coming down towards bot side, and he has level 6, so he does have the ability to pick up a strong ultimate and try to make some kind of a play. Also with Vander and Woolite both ticking over towards level 6, could definitely be an area of the map they look to play around, but instead they sort of pivot now, or maybe looking towards the top side of the map. Finn has a lot of gank assist here on this Qiyana, especially when Odo is underneath his tower, because he's going to be stuck against a wall, and that's where a lot of CC can come through.
And Finn does have some experience on the Qiyana pick. He actually played it in the Ultra Liga against Devils 1, went 9-3-9 in that game, so he has shown already for Rogue, or for Rogue eSports Club, which is their regional league team, that he is very effective on this pick. And we can already see, a CS lead, has the Tiamat now, so his wave plays even easier, and Inspired perhaps setting up for this gank.
Does he pull the trigger on it? I'm inclined to believe so. You just got to make sure the minions come in towards this wave. Odo.
It's only 3 minions there. It's
only 3, but Larssen is on the way. And look at this. Abbedagge just took a reset alongside Trick. There's no teleports to go in.
Odo trying to hold it, but he's stunned into the wall, and the chase is on. He flashes away. Inspired, one more Odo. Here comes Larssen. In from the back, takes down the kill. Teleport used by Upset, and now that's a big cooldown burnt from the AD carry of Schalke. Rogue have 4 men strong on the top side and can continue to look in.
Yeah, Schalke just going to immediately pivot into a lane swap now. You see Woolite calling that play too, still holding on to a teleport himself, but they really didn't want to give up the Rift Herald, which Rogue could have easily pivoted into had Schalke not made a response play on this side of the map. Now, do they want to start it up themselves here? They did not spot the control ward inside of the Pixel Bush, so Rogue will know exactly what is going on, and Finn's teleport should be coming up very soon. 15 seconds off of that ability. Does not have an ultimate or a flash though, so probably going to be not, it won't be a contest here from Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue burnt a lot for that fight. Finn's ultimate, Inspire's ultimate, Larssen's ultimate, and 2 flashes. Would have been quite hard for them to take a full brawl at the moment, so they decide, back away, we'll give up that objective. It does mean Schalke have got both of the first 2 neutral objectives in this game with the Ocean and the Rift Herald, and we'll see how effective they are at using that Rift Herald to try and open up one of these towers, try and get a little bit of that gold deficit back in their pocket.
Yeah, we'll have to check that one out now. Larssen's a very happy camper coming off of that reset. Now has himself the Gunblade purchase, courtesy of that first blood. Schalke realizing that, hey, Larssen just got a gold lead, so maybe Trick drops this Herald down, doesn't stick around, so he donates the solo gold towards Abbedagge, but a lot of members moving towards this mid lane now. Schalke bringing 4 to the area. They might be searching for more than just a couple plates.
Rogue only have 3 men strong. Woolite did have the TP, but decides not to burn it. Rift Herald's going to get the charge in.
Smart.
Schalke will just back away. They can't really push too much further. They know where the AD carry and support of Rogue were, but they do get the gold from the tower, and that evens out that gold score just a little.
Yeah, it's just about an even trade there. You think about it, the Rift Herald giving 320 gold off 2 plates to Abbedagge makes up for the 400 bonus gold that Larssen got off of that first blood. So should be pretty even overall between these 2 mid laners. Gold state across the board also going to be quite close.
Now, Ender, you promised me an explosive early game. You said there was going to be a lot of stuff happening.
I said
on the
we
top
had
side
some
of
cool champions.
You said there were going to be a lot of kills.
But here's the thing, Rogue had to wait till level 6.
Okay.
Yes, we're past level 6, like Larssen's level 10 now,
Yeah,
so maybe
that's almost twice level 6. That's math with numbers. You can tell Dur.
Yes, you nailed that one.
Thanks.
Dur? Who's that?
It's your brother. Larssen trading into Abbedagge here, hits the shuriken, but not going to go any further. And I do want to, I kind of want to break that down a little bit more, because you say they have to wait for level 6. Now it feels like Rogue should be wanting to look for more of these picks, should be wanting to look for more of these plays, because you do need to get your assassins ahead and rolling if you're going to take control of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious place for Rogue to look now would be Odoamne, who doesn't have a flash, but with Infernal Drake spawning, their ideas are going to have to shift now to play much more around this objective. You can see they're not even sending anyone up into the top lane. Finn has a teleport, Woolite has TP, Larssen has TP, they all have it, but no one is going up there right now because by bringing 5 members into this river, they guarantee they will have vision superiority. They guarantee they can get prio in mid by bringing down multiple members, then shift those members into mid lane, also get control over there, and use that to ultimately put themselves in a much better position to start up this Drake when it does spawn.
It is really interesting to see how much of the lane swaps and the back and forth between top and bot we have how they've actually affected some of these CS scores, because top lane is now a lot more closer than I expected to be. I thought there'd be like a 20-30 CS difference there, Finn being ahead. I thought bot lane would, you know, Woolite was ahead when the lane swap started to start, and now we see Upset with almost a 20 CS lead for himself. Rogue on the Infernal Dragon will secure it. Schalke weren't able to fight it, but Schalke have been able to find these small incremental advantages from just playing that map a little bit better.
Yeah, they've been building up, especially around Upset in the bottom lane, but if you actually look at itemization and, you know, the champion spikes at this point in the game, it favors Rogue much, much more. Upset splitting his build right now, going for Zeal item as well as that Infinity Edge. Abbedagge went for early Hex Drinker, whereas the side of Rogue, for the most part, they just went straight into their first items. They're feeling very strong off of those spikes, alongside the fact that they just committed those 5 people down towards the bottom side of the map. So ultimately, it seemed like there was no real world in which Schalke were going to be willing to actually contest around that objective.
It makes a lot of sense, Ender, and one of those things that we don't always think about is, you know, you look at the CS, you look at the gold, but effective gold is very important as well. How far you are towards your full build, how your items synergize together. Finn here trying to play around the control wall, but he doesn't really know where the Elise is, and so has to just be that little bit more cautious than usual, because Trick is on his way. He's gonna cocoon, but oh, he misses it again.
He just can't hit the guy.
What is up with Trick today? He is struggling so much. I mean, Finn is playing exceptionally well as well. Dodging around, using his ultimate at the right time, didn't even have to burn flash, didn't even have flash there. But Trick has missed 3 cocoons in vital moments, and now Vander looking for a flank. Abbedagge going to try and dodge away. The slow from Upset was actually enough to keep Vander from getting on towards the Aatrox, and IgNar has to burn his flash, but you take that trade.
Yeah, Schalke will be able to pick up the first turret of the game up top side. Upset is also pushing down bottom lane, so instead of fully committing in towards mid, where Rogue have no minions, they just have to spend the TP now down towards that bottom side to make sure they don't lose too much, because even though, yes, they trade up in terms of the flash, they have the Infernal Drake on their side, Schalke, with that move up towards the top lane tower, as well as the Herald play early in mid, have put themselves in control of the board.
We have, and we need to see Rogue really stepping on that accelerator pretty soon, otherwise just going to start falling behind. Larssen sitting at the top of the gold graph, Upset Abbedagge, then Odo, then Woolite, 500 gold behind. Really in the hole for the moment, and even though we talk about Upset, you know, building towards these different build parties, now finished the rapid fire cannon, now has a little bit more safety when it comes to team fights, a little bit more range to poke as well if he remains in that Kaisa versus Tristana lane.
Definitely will. Now, as far as how these teams want to move moving forward, Rogue really want to stay inside of Schalke's jungle, I feel, and try to look to collapse on side lanes, right? You have the Qiyana, who works so well around terrain with her ultimate, as well as just the high burst damage of those 3 assassins.
Abbedagge going in. Humble Chains won't connect. And the Fisher doesn't really do too much either. I was kind of expecting a little bit more of a fight there. Damage coming out from Odoamne. He's got the Ludens. Upset's going to jump back towards the tower. And Schalke tried to set something up. Didn't have to burn too much for it. It was just a dash over the wall by Abbedagge, but Rogue able to react in time.
Just sort of feeling out some of their damage, what they can actually do here. Rogue now have to pick up the waves on both their sides while Schalke group up to get control over the river here. Again, 2 minutes off of that next Drake, but as you mentioned with Upset picking up the rapid fire cannon, Abbedagge now finished off his first item as well. Schalke are now in a much more comfortable position to try and approach these team fights. They also, with this Tristana now on level 10, can be very strong in terms of effective range with this pick. The Kaisa won't exactly be able to match considering her much lower attack range.
Look at the speed of Schalke here, but Odo maybe stepped too far, flashes away. TP coming in from Larssen. Perhaps they thought they'd catch him with a supreme display of talent. Glacial Fissure lands, but it's not enough to chase down IgNar, and the rest of Schalke were waiting just around the corner to react. Rogue tried to make the play. They tried to find a catch. They couldn't quite do it.
Still, though, they did get the flash off of Odoamne, who always on this Karma can be vulnerable in side lanes, especially when Rogue find flanks. When they charge straight forward, it's very unlikely they can ever finish off that kill, as we see there with Odo flashing away. But what we really want to see next from Rogue is to set up vision and deny vision inside one of the quadrants of Schalke's jungle. Bot side, probably not going to be too easy here for Rogue because the next objective is spawning so soon, so Schalke will definitely be trying to stake a claim over that area. But if Rogue really wanted to play for a top lane tower as opposed to this Mountain Drake, they could just try to move Inspired into that side of the map, coming off of his camps that he's clearing away here, and play for that area of the map as opposed to running in to fight Schalke.
But the important thing for that is you have to get vision control, and Schalke are the team that have basically perfect control of the river right now. If you, we scroll down here, look at how many control wards there are here. 2 in 1 bush. That's how much gold Schalke have right now. It can put as many wards in a bush as they want.
Inefficient.
It's very inefficient. 75 gold's worth of inefficiency, to be precise. But Schalke are the team with the vision control, with the control of the map. Odo's up towards the top side, but he has teleport to rejoin if a fight begins around this Mountain Dragon. Yeah,
and I presented the option of Rogue to play more topside. Again, with this Drake spawning, they're still very strong, you know, while we say Schalke are in a better position. Rogue's still feeling very, very comfortable themselves, and will need to contest over this minion wave that's going to be crashing in faster. So that's why we see them trying to force through mid here, but because they go for this long way around, it's going to be Upset with access to the wave first, which will mean Rogue are going to be forced out of this river entirely.
So the fight begins. Finn jumps in. Abbedagge, the one that caught out. The World Ender will be enough to save him. And teleport coming in from Odo as perhaps Schalke look to re-engage this fight. Instead, they say no. They'll accept the fact that Abbedagge got caught out. Odo pushing for the tower. Woolite missed with the Void Seeker, but Vander has a good flank position here. Look at the EQ, stunned up, Trick down to half HP. Upset almost caught out. Larssen jumping across the wall. Upset has to flash away. Trick down already. And now Rogue have found the kills that they were looking for.
Rogue should have been forced out of the river, but Schalke split up with Abbedagge walking in towards the river. Now Rogue have complete control here. They can go ahead and push for this tower, pick up the Mountain Drake on the back half, deny camps away from Trick here, and set up some of that vision we were talking about to try and play inside the enemy jungle and find assassinations.
I have to say, it feels like Schalke just weren't on the same page there at all. Trick having a bad day as well. It's only his first death, but really hasn't had the impact we expect to see from the key member of Schalke this split. He's been on form so many times, I guess you can forgive him an off day. But the rest of Schalke need to step up. They're going to continue to challenge Rogue. And another kill going over to Finn gives him just that little bit more assassination potential. And the catch is good there on Abbedagge.
Yeah, I mean, Abbedagge and Trick just sticking there, trying to knock out that control ward. Just a huge mistake when there is vision denial, when Rogue can be sitting in there and you don't actually see them trying to clear away waves in the mid. Then they also step up to try and knock down this tower, which means that Trick will pay with his life. And Upset also has to flash away on the backside, leaving him vulnerable for the next 5 minutes.
Just felt super greedy to try and go towards that tower afterwards. It's just like, you've just lost a player. Why are you trying to fight?
Right, especially because Schalke were in such a good position for the Drake. They had the hit on mid lane first. As long as Abbedagge doesn't walk forward into engage range of Rogue, they can easily move down into the river with those 5 members, start up that objective. And this is not a mistake that I feel like we see a lot from Schalke. I think this team is actually quite good at setting up around objectives usually, but that was just a huge blunder from one of their members.
Well, now they're trying to set up the vision control around the Baron. 21 minutes in, it's about 1,000 gold between these two teams. Nothing too monumental, but we are starting to see the items rattling down the inventories. Infinity Edge Rapid Fire Cannon complete on Upset. Ginsu Storm Razor on Woolite. Dustblade finished on Finn. To the Luden's Echo on Odoamne, and a Chalice of Harmony on Odo. So he's actually going to make it a lot harder to take someone out immediately in these fights because of the heals and the shields that you get from that item.
Yeah, Odo also has some MR from that, has the armor boots as well, so can try to defend himself against some of the mixed damage that Rogue is going to be bringing into side lanes. Speaking of side lanes, I don't think Schalke ever really want to go into them because they're always going to be very vulnerable, even though Karma can clear away waves, Aatrox is a decent duelist. Because of the way that Rogue's comp works, where you can bring in so many members from a flank and find fights, or even funnel Woolite in to use his ultimate to follow up on any type of CC, there's always going to be a lot of kill threat on towards Schalke's solo laners. The second that Schalke don't actually know where the majority of Rogue's members are on the map.
And with the 3 teleports on either side, there's always that idea of, you know, playing around these side lanes, trying to get your TP versus the TP of the opponent. At the moment, it's Odo into Finn, which means Rogue actually have a teleport advantage because Odo's is still on cooldown. I'd like to see perhaps Abbedagge going down towards that bottom lane. Instead, teleport used here by Schalke. They started up the Baron and immediately walk away.
Yeah, Upset literally just teleported into the pit, got hit by Baron, was like, nah guys, let's peace out of this one.
I mean, I'd have a very similar feeling if I was an AD carry and I was facing down a giant purple monster like that by myself.
It's like, wait, where did my team go? When I was teeping in, they're all ready to commit.
It's like trying to do a mythic raid as just one healer. It's like, it's never gonna work. Inspired here down towards the bottom side. They look for the route down on Odo, but the gank continues. Glacial Fisher pops in, Finn going in. The supreme display of talent lands the kill. And up towards the top side of the fight, Schalke have got caught out once again. It's Upset who goes down. Trick follows. This is incredible stuff from Rogue. A fight on 2 fronts. Inspired trying to survive, but Abbedagge. Oh, Inspired goes golden just for the second. Abbedagge trying to get back towards his tower, but he's caught up. He's rooted up. Oh, Vander not quite able to land the knockup. Now Abbedagge underneath the tower will get some damage down onto Finn. Vander tanking enough, but the rest of Rogue are here just in time. Still Abbedagge lives, but in the end, he will fall. Rogue find 4, and they have opened up this game.
What have we been waiting for all game now? Rogue to dive Odo in a side lane and then kill Schalke inside their jungle. We thought it was going to come here and there. Rogue just did it all in the span of 30 seconds.
That was beautiful stuff from Rogue. A fight on 2 fronts, to say the least, and because of it, they're 2,000 gold ahead now. You now have an Akali on a Hextech Gunblade Morello Nomicon. You have a 2-item Qiyana who can just burst through Odo. Let's have another look at how this is set up.
Yeah, because Inspired comes in here with the Braum ultimate to lock down for Finn. They very quickly get the kill on towards Odoamne, but disengaged from Vander, setting up for the Woolite jump forward. We mentioned this earlier as well. Instant 2 kills there, and then just the time that Inspired is able to buy here, both the shielding coming through from his E, the Zhonya's Hourglass, and the sustain off of his W. Even though Abbedagge is a really tough guy to kill, Rogue are able to kite back for long enough that they can eventually get Woolite in here specifically to have the damage to knock him out.
Yeah, Woolite is the one that you're looking at to take down those beefier frontline tanks. He's the DPS. Finn and Larssen are the instantaneous burst damage. And look at how that gold has swung. Schalke were in control. Even after that first blood, Schalke was still ahead in terms of gold, but Rogue now found the fight they wanted, and we'll see how effectively they can use that to open up the map, because it's not done yet. They're not just going to win the game because they found a good fight. They now need to play those side lanes and stop Schalke from looking for something like this Baron.
Right, Schalke, you want to forget about the side lanes, push the waves when necessary, but ultimately group up as 5 members. Even then, team fighting is a little bit awkward for them. They don't have all these hard CC tools. Try and lock down. Finn does.
Finn going in, Vander going down. It's actually IgNar, sorry, on the Braum. He goes golden for the second. Inspired quite low. IgNar eventually will fall. The stun lock on Larssen is pretty strong, but he has joined the fight with that teleport, and now the rest of Rogue are going to jump in. Finn still looking for the flank. Can't quite find it. And Rogue will turn their eyes back towards the major objective, the big purple worm, their target. Will they start it up? It feels pretty greedy. They need to be a bit tankier for the moment.
Yeah, I don't think Rogue can start this. They only have the ultimate left on their Kaisa, so turning out of the pit would have always been a very difficult prospect for them. Still maybe want to bait them in. Flashes away from the cocoon. Big loss there on Woolite. They're not able to find the fight they wanted.
Yeah, couldn't convince Schalke that they were doing the Baron, so Schalke didn't need to check. Schalke got mid-prio, but have yet to get a kill this game. We praised them a lot in the early game. They played around macro, they played around the map pretty well, but you can see here just what Rogue are so good at doing.
That's Finn's POV. They're flashing forward to get the multi-man ultimate against the wall, then kiting out, waiting for his cooldowns to come up, spamming away from range with that Q there. And what does he do on the backside? He tries to jump around and catch out Upset. Ultimately just ends up zoning him away from the rest of the fight there. It was just the one kill there for Rogue. Weren't able to convert that into anything more than that.
And that's the thing, is conversion of kills. You can get all the kills you want on Assassins, but that doesn't win you the game. We need to see how Rogue actually step that up. and make those plays off at the back of them. There's no mid lane tower for either team, but top still exists for Schalke, and Rogue maybe will want to break that so they can look to get some of this deep vision into the Rogue jungle.
Yep, it's all about playing inside the jungle. And even if you leave that top lane turret up, I don't even think it's a bad thing for Rogue, because you think about it, right? If you control their topside jungle, the minion waves crash into that outer turret, Schalke can never farm those minion waves or they instantly get dosed. There's a lot of plays they can make as Finn steals away this blue buff, and the rest of Rogue come around the side. This is exactly what we need to see from this team right now.
Get as much control over the enemy's area of effect as you can. Inspired caught up with Winter's Bite, but the rest of Rogue are waiting just around the bend to see if Schalke overextended. They won't do that quite yet. Void Star finished on Larssen. You always have to look at the magic resist on the enemy side to see how effective that's going to be. With an Athene's and a Holy Grail on Odo, with a Maw of Malmortius on Abbedagge. Will be effective against them and against IgNar, but cost efficiency of that item is always debatable, and that was just weird from IgNar. Why are you stepping into that spot? Rogue will happily take that kill. Finn TPing into the top side of Abbedagge, gets locked up against the wall. Supreme talent is enough as Woolite jumps forward, and Abbedagge will go down. 2 kills to Rogue. Upset just about dodges out. He's jumping forward, trying to take down the jungler, but the Cocoon once again goes wide. Trick has been missing the mark in too many vital moments this game.
And now Schalke just have no control. There's no way they can get into this river to try and contest around the Baron, but Rogue not even willing to start it up with Inspired being low. They keep walking into the same push. Stop doing that! It's unbelievable.
Day Vander will go down. Woolite now trying to open up the big guns on Upset, who jumps away, but that's another Odo's down. Oh, Larssen jumping in. Upset flashes away. Larssen with a Hextech Gunblade will slow him down. Dance back, dance forward, take him out, and Schalke need to learn from their mistakes.
That play is genuinely inexcusable from Schalke. Use the wall to your advantage. Walk not straight into the bush, but ward over that wall, and you can easily see if anyone is there. Now Rogue get everything off that play.
Have to give credit to Rogue, though. They continue to catch out Schalke. Schalke making big mistakes, but Rogue there to capitalize. 13 kills to 1. They take the Baron. They're 6,000 gold ahead against a team who are already locked in playoffs.
But why do you do this? You can just go where Odo is, ward over that wall. It's very simple here. So IgNar loses his life first. You say, okay, that's fine. But then Abbedagge, trying to go for some sort of CC damage off of that TP, ends up putting himself in a terrible position because Woolite can ultimate straight on over onto that 1v1, making it a 2v1, and then Trick does the same exact thing. I just can't understand this. Let the Spiderling go in first. Don't follow it immediately.
I guess the argument is, if they're doing Baron, you have to approach it somehow. But Rogue, reading the minds of their opponents, anticipating how Schalke would play around it, they waited. They lay in wait and just caught them out. Rogue now, 5 Barons strong, control this top side of the map. No one's been bot lane in a year. They don't care about it. They're looking topside, they're looking for this tower, and then they'll continue to try and eke out as much as they can from this Baron buff.
Should be very easy for them to secure that tier 2 tower in the top lane as well, with the way that Inspired and Finn are both playing inside the jungle. I like this move from Schalke though, moving 4 members into the mid lane to try and push out that wave entirely, deny the Baron buff minions because you know the split push is happening in the top lane. Can't even fully push for that tower as Larssen, as he needs to wait for reinforcements to arrive, but this will slow down some of the moves that Rogue are trying to make.
Double cannon minion does make it a little bit easier for Rogue to take that tower if they want. Instead, they say, no, we're going to push towards mid now, try and pick up that wave. Just crashed in the middle of mid lane, and Rogue will... They need to really use just... get a little bit more off this Baron. You're looking at tier 2s. Just getting 1 tower off it won't be enough for them yet.
I don't think it's the hardest thing for Rogue to necessarily siege, because the engage tools from Schalke just simply are not there. And yes, Rogue only have the 1 ranged character who's not a super high range ADC or anything like that on the Kaisa, but ultimately you're just really scared about the Cocoon coming through or Ignar's ultimate. Both of those you can see coming from pretty far away, so there should be outplay potential for the side of Woolite, who has now shifted into this bottom lane to try and push out and get some damage on this tower. You have to watch Vander on the flank here alongside Finn. There's a lot of displacement with that duo.
The big danger for Rogue in terms of how effectively they can push is the wave clear that comes out from Upset and the rest of Schalke. Odoamne, Mantrid Q can just clear it out pretty easily. The Upset just a lot of damage with that static shiv as well, building towards wave clear. Can be very hard for them to actually take these towers, but because Schalke rotated mid, they get an opportunity to push forward and push Upset back and take the tower.
Yeah, what we're just going to see from Rogue is multiple attempts at chipping down all these towers, rotating all the way across the map with just 50 seconds left on this Baron. It's probably just going to be a Drake and then maybe an attempt at this mid lane tower, but should be very content with how the game has gone so far, even though they haven't broken into this space. Ultimately, the game will be decided off of team fighting or picks from Rogue, not just the raw siege with Baron buff.
Oh, that's what they're looking to do. Audacity didn't get Finn across the wall. Vander waiting here with his top laner, seeing if perhaps they can find a pick onto Odoamne. Trick clearing out as much vision as he can in this top side jungle. There's no wards there for Rogue anymore, but with Larssen staying around, maybe they can look just for that tiny bit of chip damage they need for the mid lane. See, it's pretty low on HP, and they'll take that third tower of the push. 3,000 gold Baron power play for Rogue, and a 7,000 gold league. They're in a very strong spot. In 7th position in our league right now, fighting Origin you expect for the final playoff spot, and with Origin playing up against XL, who have looked in pretty fine form recently, I think Rogue will be hopeful, optimistic of their playoff chances.
Yeah, I mean, if Rogue beat Schalke, they'll tell themselves, we can beat Origin, and then Fnatic's only, 1 or 2 places above that. We can certainly do this, so has to be in their minds. Now, Larssen's staying on this map for a very long time right now. The rest of his team reset for items, but he's really waiting for that Rabadon's death cap. He went back for the blue buff and Braum camp to make sure he could secure that, while Abbedagge gets picked with the red buff.
To pop the ultimate to get away. It's greedy play some of the time here from Schalke. It feels like perhaps they came into this game knowing they were qualified, knowing that the fight for 4th position is pretty locked up as well because they have a 2-game lead over Vitality, and so maybe just a little bit of laxness from Schalke in this game, and it's come to fruition for Rogue. Rogue have played it exceptionally well, though. They found the picks they needed, they waited for the opportune moment to strike, and because of that, they are now slowly taking the game out of Schalke's hands.
And I think one of the most fun things to try and watch in these fights is Finn's positioning, because on Qiyana, you almost always try to look for a flank, to use your big ultimate to throw people in towards your team, towards a wall as well. So he's always going to try to come on these wide angles towards Schalke, try to find these fights inside the jungle here, because ultimately fighting in an open area is going to be a little bit harder for Rogue. They have so much damage at this point that I don't think it's a huge concern that they can't do it or anything, but ultimately where Finn is going to be strongest, especially now that he's hit level 16 for the max damage on that ultimate, is always going to be off a flank inside terrain.
I want to give Finn a little bit of credit there as well. His team reset, he was pushing out bot wave. He went to back in the bottom lane bush, the one that's quite near where the tier 2 tower is, saw there was a control ward there, started to clear it out, and then thought, oh wait, Schalke could react pretty quickly. My team is nowhere near me. He backed away before clearing out the control wards. So very safe play from him and good play anticipating what Schalke could do.
Really like that from Finn. Now, going to be resetting himself a little bit later than the rest of his team to finish off the Edge of Night here to give him that extra survivability off the spell shield. Now, he does have a teleport to find a TP flank here to try and cheat that engage into a team fight, but usually what we're going to see him go for when Schalke funnel in through the jungle to try and enter the river as this Baron spawns in 15 seconds. He's probably going to try to come through the mid lane and come behind them, or sit inside the blue buff and pop over that wall. Those are the 2 best angles for Finn, and it seems like right now it's more about playing on the bottom side of the fight as opposed to the right-hand side.
Have Schalke learned their lesson? That's the question. There's a control ward in the bush. Rogue tried to catch Schalke out once again, going for their one. Vander goes in, knocked back with the buster shot. Perfect timing there by Upset to stop Vander in his tracks.
And also chunk him out a lot. That makes Rogue completely back away from this river, where there had previously been complete darkness for Schalke. They win the fight after Rogue are lured out of their bush. That was their base camp that has been so effective for them in this match. Schalke are finally able to take control over it themselves and now have the first track on mid lane. But this is Finn inside the blue buff with all those control wards who will not be seen coming around for this flank.
The unseen threat is the deadliest. Vander looking for the flash engage. They know there's no buster shot. Still half of that cooldown left. Finn, perfect position here. Here we go. Rogue looking supreme display of talent from Rogue. They set it up and they knock them down one by one. Schalke are decimated, and that was beautiful.
Absolutely perfect setup from the rookie. Finn popping off on this Qiyana. They don't need to wait for the Baron. They can just push to the end.
That was sublime. That was peak League of Legends, and it came from Rogue. Superb stuff by them. They now just walk through the base of Schalke. No one remains to defend them. And with a win over Schalke, Rogue keep their playoff dreams alive.
I told Finn to his face yesterday that I did not think he could beat Schalke or Fnatic. I did not think that he and the rest of Rogue could make their case for playoffs. But that was just about as good a play as any. And Finn has just said, look guys, we can do it.
They are trying to stake their claim on that 6th place spot. Need to give credit to the rest of the team as well. Larssen, once again, deathless, has gone deathless in 6 of his 16 games in the LEC. They only gave up 1 kill. For them to play against a team like Schalke, who already locked into playoffs, who a lot of people were talking about, you know, is that fourth best team in the league, and to only give up 1 kill, that's impeccable stuff from Braum.
And for this whole split, we've seen those glimmers of hope where, you know, mainly off the back of Inspired's Olaf, they took down Fnatic earlier in the split. This team has upset before, but we haven't seen them really be able to find their footing in a while without those comfort picks. Now Finn on this Qiyana, I believe his first Qiyana game ever here in the LEC. Fantastic stuff out of Rogue.
Great stuff, guys. Well played. Great game on the day. Well, you got a high five us there. We got him in the end. Great stuff from them all around. Schalke will be very disappointed. I think disappointing is the only real word you can use to talk about that game. They've already left the stage. It was just weak. It was weak sauce from them.
It absolutely wasn't. They were in a situation where yesterday we were hyping up that Schalke versus Vitality, that was the battle for 4th place. Vitality dropped a game to SK. It just came out of nowhere, and then Schalke, we said, immediately you are the 4th place team. Now there is much more potential to try and dodge the 3rd place spot by guaranteeing 4th yourself. If you are Vitality, you have now been given new hope.
They definitely have. I mean, Vitality have a tough rest of their schedule. They play Fnatic, they play up against Misfits, and they play up against Schalke on the final day. But maybe that 4th spot is still up for grabs. We're going to have a look at some of the highlights from that game. I'm going to see a lot of people getting burst pretty darn quickly.
All right, started off with this play in the bottom lane. This is really where Rogue took control of the game. It had been the play we'd been waiting for so long. The collapse into bot lane on a side laner and then attacking Schalke inside of their jungle. I think Inspired really did come up clutch in this fight with just the amount of time he was able to buy. It basically just secured Schalke, or another kill, on towards the Schalke member of Abbedagge here, who thought he could trade for that one on Inspired, but the stopwatch coming through very importantly for them. Ends up picking the extra kill on towards Abbedagge, and then they had control forever. This is the final team fight from Finn's POV. Look at this, the Flash ultimate 4-man into the wall. It doesn't get better than that.
It's just absolutely beautiful to watch, and if you do want to see any more of these pro views, see exactly how they make these setups, you can grab them over at riot.com/proview. And it's just so much fun to watch things like that. I know I learn a lot from the support matchups as well. In this game, though, like, just watch those team fights over and over again. You don't even need to go to pro view, just watch them, because they were so much fun to watch, and there's so many small intricacies that I'm sure you wouldn't have caught, and I'm sure we didn't catch in the moment, that actually defined how Rogue were able to play those fights.
Yeah, it's really, really cool stuff to see there. Also, if you ever want to learn how to play Qiyana, apparently this is the best game you can see from it. 6-0-7 at the end of the day. Finn coming up super clutch time and time again. Really nice stuff.
And if you think Finn had a stellar performance, jump on over to @lolesports on Twitter and vote for him in our Kia Player of the Game vote. He's up with Larssen and Vander. Vander died, don't vote for him. He's the only guy to die on the team. We're going to hear from him now, but he died. He's not going to be Kia Player of the Game. Law, Vander, take it away.
Thanks, Malik, and thanks, Vander, for joining me. Early game isn't usually the time you guys shine in the game, but it went really well for you today. But I feel like you had the tools to do it. So talk to me about the comp you guys used.
I think we are pretty good in early game in general, but we play like 3 weeks every game on blue side, and it's harder to draft good lanes on blue side, at least for our team, I guess. So I think the drafts were the main problem, and if you have losing lanes and weaker jungle, you can't really play aggressive early game. But I think yesterday and today we showed we can be aggressive. Against G2 it backfired a little bit, but today we snowballed. Not that well, but decently.
You did it well anyway, and it's an important win for you guys because the playoff race is still on, and even though it's not entirely in your hands anymore, I want to know how you feel knowing that even if you win, you may miss playoffs anyway.
Yeah, so we have to beat OG right now, and they have to drop some games as well. So yeah, it's mostly up to them, I guess. But we're gonna do our best, and even if we beat them and we still don't make playoffs, it's at least a win. Yeah.
Just between us, let's forget that they're behind us. Playing against OG next week. Optimistic about this one?
Yeah, I think let's say Schalke and Origin is similar strength. in terms of teams. So if we can beat Schalke, why shouldn't we beat Origin, right?
Well, we'll see about that next week. Thank you very much, Vander, for the
Yeah, thank
interview.
you.
And we're going to take a break, and we'll see Origin after the break playing against Excel. Don't go anywhere, guys.